Yeah.
That says we're live.
Glad you said something. I was about to look silly.
Ring, 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 ring,
Yeah.
ring,
It'll do it to you too.
ring,
Right in the middle of it.
Yeah, it's done it to me.
No way.
Here we go. Y'all ready?
Oh,
Yes, sir.
yeah.
Welcome to Creative Makers Podcast with your host, Joey with Steel Blade Woodworks, Matt with Wacky Works Workshop, Jen with Jen's Turns, Jamie with JP Woodwork, and Jake with Northside Custom Crafts. Welcome to Creative Makers Podcast, episode 59. I'm Joey with Steel Blade Woodworks, and today we have Darryl with Dread Knot Woodshop. How's it going, bud?
It's going good.
Hey, great. Thank you for taking the time out to being with us, and we usually start off and give us a background on how you got started.
Oh, well, thanks for having me, first of all. See how I got started. So I've always been interested in art. When I was in middle school, my shop teacher, I took a real shine at wood shop, and him and the high school guy were friends. So I got that. So he sent word over, and the high school teacher, I didn't do any of the regular projects. I got there the first day. He goes, "Darryl, right?" Like, yeah. And he took me to the closet with the good wood. Handed me a bunch of magazines, like, make something out of this good stuff and it better be good. And I did that for 4 years. Got out of high school, broke college kids. We lived in married housing at UF, and they had some little crappy tools you could rent, so we rented those. And I made a bed and a TV. I made an entertainment center that leaned a little, so you just watched it. And then over the years, I just kept collecting what I could collect, reading what I could read, because, I'm old, so there was no YouTube back then. With the advent of YouTube, I was able to, learn a few more things. And as time went on, I found a few bucks. I found a few pennies in the couch. I was able to upgrade stuff, and, here we are.
I was like, you got bucks in the couch?
Yeah.
Like the bubblegum wrappers.
I'm pretty lucky in the deals department, I gotta say.
Yeah.
I've been just one example. I bought my wife sent me to the hardware store to get a toilet seat because she's gonna have like a Tupperware party or something like that. And there's a bunch of ladies coming, and the kids had broken the toilet seat in the guest bathroom. She's like, "You can't have a bunch of women here, and toilet seat's messed up. Go get it." So I go to Ace, and I walk in there, and on the end cap, they got two Jorgensen bar clamps, parallel clamps, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The 24-inch one was $5, and the 50-inch one was $8, right?
You bought them all.
How many did you get?
It was just the two. It was just the two. So I snatch them up, right? And I go get the toilet seat, and I'm all giddy at the register. I get up there, I throw them on the counter. I'm like, "Man, too bad you guys don't have more." And he's like, "You didn't read the note?" And the price tag was actually a note. On the back, it said they had 7 of one and 8 of the other. So I think it ended up being like 18. It was 18 or 19 Jorgies, brand new, for $99.
Did you remember the toilet seat?
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, I got a question here on that. Did you sneak them in, or did you actually just come out and say, "I bought these"?
So I've been doing this for a long time, and usually my wife tells me to go get stuff. Like, I'll come home and be like, when I got my Powermatic lathe, and I was like, "Baby, they offered me a really good deal on a Powermatic." She goes, "Oh yeah?" And I go, "Yeah, it was a really good deal." She's like, "Where is it?" I was like, "Well, I didn't buy it yet." She's like, "What the hell? What do you think?" She's like, "What the heck? What are you thinking? Go get it." So I don't have that problem.
I'm one that has to kind of hide stuff every now and then. And she's like, because she knows if I go somewhere, she's like, "What'd you buy?" "Nothing. I get nothing." As long as one of the kids isn't with me, because they'll outs me very quick. They'll be like, "Uh-huh, And I'm like, dude, shut up. What are you doing? You
But
know,
you don't
Gave
know
it
the
to me.
top
They gave it to me.
what's
You know
that?
the top of the pick. Bring it in the shop and sprinkle dust on it and be like, oh, that thing's been in the corner forever.
Well, there's stuff, and she'll actually do a walkthrough every now and then. And she's like, where'd this come from? And I said, man, I got that a long time ago. You knew about that. You know, it's just like, just playing stupid. And she's like, I don't remember that. And I'm like, sure. Are you kidding me? I bought that years ago. You don't see me use it all the time. And just this time it was out, you know, what do you want me to tell you? And I don't know if she buys it, you know.
Hey, that's good stuff. You know what I do? Whatever I want.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, so Darryl, thanks for coming on. For the people at home, my name is Jake Thompson from Northside Custom Crafts. I do icebreaker. My icebreaker for you is, why in the world would they ever call you Dread Knot? How'd you come up with that?
Okay, so it's not about my hair. I've said that 1,000 times, right? So when I go out and do things in the public, I always end up in these conversations with people, and they're like, "Oh man, stuff you do, it's great. You know, I wish I could do that." And my answer is always, "Well, but you can't." And they're like, "But I can't." And then they proceed to tell me all the reasons why they cannot. So that's where I came up with the slogan, "Dread Knot, make something," because you know, we spend so much time focusing on what we can't do, you know, you almost pass up the opportunity to do some of the things you can. So that's what it's about.
Okay.
Well, we just backstage, we were having a conversation about having hair in our older age. I had a little bit of hair envy going.
Yeah.
Well, hey everybody, I'm Matt with Wacky Works. So us talking backstage, and I've talked to you here, you know, a couple weeks ago. You say that you just got something going on that you just started doing, you just got better, but you actually got a school that you're starting. Is that correct?
Correct.
Tell me all about it.
So when I was in Florida, I taught at when I was in Florida, I taught at the Rockler store and the Woodcraft store. I would teach classes. I taught a few classes at home, but I just didn't have the space in my shop in Florida. So when we made the move, we bought a place where we could build, you know, a classroom, right? And so I'm working on getting the classroom, you know, getting the building all together and stuff. But we will be offering quite a few different classes here. So yeah, we're really excited about that.
So you're going to be it's going to be a lot of in-person stuff. You got to do any virtual stuff?
Yeah, actually during COVID, I got pretty good at doing the virtual stuff, set up with multiple cameras and all that kind of thing. But yeah, that's the thing that I'm gonna see how it works. My wife and I, we kind of adjusted our finances to make sure that when we made this move, we would have the room to explore different aspects of the business. And you know, basically the plan is the things that work we stick with, and the things that don't we pivot. So you know, it's going to be pretty exciting once I get the building complete, done 1.0, right? Because what shop's ever done, right?
Oh, exactly.
So once I get it done 1.0, then we're going to start
1.2.
investigating some of these different ideas. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hello everybody. I'm Jamie from JP Woodwork. Just quickly following on from Matt's question. Once the school's up running and off on its road, what are you hoping to learn?
How to be a better instructor.
There you go. Not any sort of turning.
I'm sorry.
Not any sort of turning.
Well, I don't know. I'm not a regular. It seems to me like most turners have a thing they like doing. That's not me. I'm always pushing the envelope. I'm always
Yeah.
Right. So, you know,
There you go.
I'm trying to always be better than just a touch better than Jamie Page.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good idea.
There we go. For y'all that
One day you'll get there.
For all the y'all that don't know,
You gotta have goals, right?
Have a little bit of a
Hey,
feud
go-
going.
So Darryl, kind of take us through for the people that are out there. Everybody's always wanting to, some people aspire to build a new shop, and some of us that have had the opportunity to do it. What are some of the hurdles that you had to cross getting something like that done? Because it looks very nice and very big. So what are some of the things that you thought about before building, trying to incorporate into your wood shop per se? And what are some of the things that if you had to do it all over that you forgot that you would advise somebody, make sure you do this if you're going to do it?
And we only have an hour, right?
Hey, take it all, bud. Take it all.
Yeah. So, I have to say, I mean, all these years I've been watching all these people. I watched Mark Spagnolo, I watched Johnny Brooks, and they put these awesome videos together about their, building their shop from the ground up. And we all like, oh man, I can't wait till the day I can do that, right? But the thing is, it's an awesome experience, but it is stressful because you got all these dreams and all these ideas, but then there comes a time where you have to commit. Like I wanted a bathroom, so before they could pour the slab, they're like, all right, where's this bathroom going? Then they want to know where the doors go. You have to figure out where the doors go. And the instant, right, that the cement truck shows up, you're like, shh, I should have put that over there. Because hindsight's the best. Yeah. Hindsight, I put in doors and windows, and it's like, I really should have put that over there. And then I decided to go with a metal building, right? And you see a lot of people build shops from metal buildings, in metal buildings, I should say. Doing the build out on the inside, I had to learn all kinds of things, dude. The craziest thing that worked out super well is the metal studs in the wall are 2.5 inches square, right? And I decided to go with 2-inch rigid foam because I wanted to maintain that little 1/2-inch airspace, which isn't a lot, but it's more than none, right? Mm-hmm. But this building's 30 feet wide, 70 feet long, with 12-foot high ceilings or walls, right? So that's a lot. Whatever I was going to use to maintain that space, it was going to be a lot of it, right? So, and I didn't want anything that would rot. So I thought about it for a while, and I was walking through the geometry, and they had these, the push pins. They kind of look like sari pieces from the sari.
Yeah.
Well, the head on those is exactly 1/2 inch. So I put like 16 or 18 per panel on there, and then and then I cut the foam, for a tight fit, usually about 16th, maybe a little less wider than the cavity, and then press fit it in there. And that worked out awesome. Like you could lean into it and it didn't move. It was great. There were so many little things trying to figure out how to get this thing done. It's like, it was a lot. And I'm going to eventually do a little touch-up video on YouTube. And I think I tried to record some of it as I went, but I had to make the decision to either finish the building in this lifetime or record it, right? So I tried to build it in this lifetime. So I kept a couple of things, like I kept some extra foam and I kept some things so that I could go through the building and talk about some of those things and have like a visual aid to show, but not the actual construction. So, but anyway, I learned a lot. I'm way over budget, like way over budget. I think I had set aside $50K for the building. And I thought maybe I'd use like 10,000 more, so it was going to be like 60K total. I'm sure I'm well over 80 right now. So
there's a lot of
understand that. Oh, I know one. I got one, right? People really need to understand. It sounds so simple, right? But this one bit me several times. Okay. We talked about right before they started putting this thing together. My wife and we were talking. I was like, I think I could get away with like a 30 by 50. And my wife goes, no. She goes, no. You were gonna build it 70 feet long. Build it because I want all your crap out of the house. So I'd rather you have space than you need space you don't have. So make it big. And I was like, okay. So here's the thing. It's a big building, so it requires a lot of everything. And that may seem like a no-brainer, but it certainly didn't come across to me right away. And when I went out to buy electrical wire, Romex, let me tell you, I got to go. I put the box right in the middle of the building on one side, right? For me to go to the other side, it means I have to go up about, I got to have about 15 feet because you got to have quite a bit hanging loose to go actually into the panel so you can route the wires. So you got 15 feet up, okay? And you got about 32 feet across by the time you account for the pitch of the roof. And then you got to come back down another 15 feet or so. So you're talking 60 feet for a run, right? And when you're talking about 10-2 wire for the 30 amp circuits for my 220 stuff, you're talking $3 a foot, my friend. That is that's $120. Or wait a minute, $130. So it's 60 feet. Yeah. So yeah, about $120. Yeah, for that one outlet. Okay, that's not counting the outlet. That's not counting the breaker. That's not counting any of that stuff. So just understand, because you look at it and you go, oh, it's only going to be like, another $2,000, right? To go from this size to that size. But you will pay for it. Not when you put it up, but you will pay for it.
Oh, yeah.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's a lot of that stuff. When I built mine, of course, I got a bunch of that stuff before COVID hit, so I was able to get. I bought 1,000-foot rolls of Romex 12.2, and I bought for the 220 amp breakers, I bought the 750-foot single spools of each color to go through conduit. Because it was cheaper at the time. You could get those spools for, I want to say they were like $45, depending on that was for 10 gauge, right? Okay. The 1,000-foot spools, I ordered them. They were like $198 a spool for that 1,000-foot reel. And I got 2 of them. You go price that 1,000-foot spool now. And just like you're saying, by the time you run that stuff, it goes, you go buy a 250-foot spool of Romex 12.2. I think that's still up there around 150, 170 bucks, depending where you go. Yeah. And then you go to 10.2, you're looking at closer to 300. Yeah. So, you really got to sometimes just doing conduit, and in your situation, and this is my opinion, in your situation, you're going to be teaching school. So you can't, if you're just a single person, then you could piggyback outlets, which some people will say, no, don't be doing that, but you're only one person. Right. But being in a school, you're probably going to have multiple machines, so you got to do home runs. So I could see where, man, I feel for you, bud.
So you brought up another good point. You brought up another really good point too, because you said how you bought a lot of stuff ahead of time. And so when I was setting up the inside of the building, it's way more space than I've ever had, but I felt crowded in here for a while because what I do is I buy everything cheap. Like, for instance, the flooring in here, it's that engineered product. I mean, you can't get near it for less than like $6 a square foot, right? Which would have been a lot for this application. But I went to Lowe's one day and they had 15 boxes for $300. So it was like 300 square feet or so for $300. So I got engineered flooring for $1 a square foot.
Nice.
And then, like Hull Lumber at Home Depot, I found like whole sheets of 3/4 inch cabinet grade radiata pine, which is perfect for shop furniture. And they had it with the little purple mark on it. So it was like $12, right? So I bought a bunch of that. And I bought all this stuff ahead of time. But see, the problem is that even though I have more space, all those things take up a footprint. I bought a pallet jack, so I put all the stuff on pallets, but a pallet takes up a good amount of space. So it's like, it's a strange balance that you have to come to, because you want to get the savings from being able to buy it in bulk. Because even if you're like, I put a lot of drywall in here, and you can buy, if you buy so many sheets, then you get a few bucks off. But then the problem is you got to have somewhere to put it, you know, and moving it, you know, moving 40 sheets of drywall, my friend, that's not a joke. I mean, it's not a joke at all, you know. And if you buy more than you need at the time to save the money, then you just have to understand the fact that you're going to have to move it. Firstly, you got to get it to your house and out of the truck, right? And then you got to put it somewhere, right? And then 9 times out of 10, in order to put it all up, that means that it has to be here now, so you can do that side, and then it has to be here later, so you can do that side. So, and listen, you know, okay, so I'm telling you all this kind of for entertainment, even though it was pretty serious, but it's not a complaint. I mean, because I realize a lot of people don't get to do this. A lot of people don't, you know, this is, you know, all of us kind of dream of it, but not a lot of people get to do it. And I'm incredibly fortunate to have done it. But yeah, I've been through, let's say, I've been overwhelmed a lot in the last year and a half.
Yeah, it's good to plan out though, because if you can get some of that stuff at discount, because like you made a good point with the electrical, a lot of people think that, oh, I'll get by with just this, until you actually start getting into it and you start pulling wire and you see how quick that wire goes, and then you're like, oh my God, I got to go buy another spool, and I got to go buy another one. I had most of the wire for this. What really got me is when I pulled the wire, because there's an apartment in here. When I pulled that, it was 6 or 8 aught or 8 gauge. It was 50 foot of it was $400. No, it was like 30 foot of that at that time, and I had to pull it because that was for the electric stove, and that was outrageous. And you know, it doesn't have nothing to do with the shop, but those little pieces will get you. And
that was cooking.
In some cases, yeah, that's cooking. You know, and in some cases, for some of those big machines, he got me. And some of those big shop machines, it's going to take some heavy gauge wire to run it, depending on the amp pull, you know, that it has at startup. You know, so man, that can eat your lunch quick. That can eat your budget real quick if you're not careful. You know.
Yeah. At one point, I just came to a place where I was like, you know what? It's kind of like with the filming. Because I was trying to cut corners at the beginning, right? I was trying to cut corners, and I was also traveling a lot at that time. So I'd be home like 2-3 days a week, and I'd be on the road the rest of the time. So it was really difficult to get anything done. And I was trying to cut corners here and there, but I got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna finish this thing. So I just started going out and getting stuff. I was trying to find stuff on Facebook Marketplace, and I was trying to find stuff at the, you know, like the Army, not necessarily, but places like the Army Surplus and like the Amazon bin stores and all that. But at the end of the day, you know, I needed to get it done. So it was like, I just had to set my mind to the fact that I got to get this done and do it. And the nice thing though, is that this is part of my business. So these are all write-offs for me anyway. So I just quit worrying about it. If I needed more wire, I just grinned and bared it, went out and bought the wire. $300 bucks. $300 a pop. Listen, when you go to Home Depot, right? When you walk out of there, $1,000 lighter, and all you got is wire and electrical boxes and outlets. Let me tell you what, that's a sobering experience.
It's familiar.
Yeah, Jake had a taste of it too. It's like
I was like the same thing with the wire. We got as much as we thought I would have. Okay, let's go get another roll. And then it was everything. The outlets, it was the paint. Well, started putting paint in here. It's like it filled up the machine, and then I was like, we barely got any on the walls, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna go spend another $500 on paint.
Yeah,
and like that quick.
The bad one was an electrical box. Box that we had outside for a kill switch. Oh my God.
Whooped us. It whooped us.
You know, fasteners, people don't realize, you know, screws. Dude,
Oh God.
those I used a lot of those structural wood to metal screws.
Mm-hmm.
Man, they're really proud of those. Like a bucket's like $50. I went through 3 or 4 buckets of those. So, that's like 150, 160 bucks in screws. Just one type and one size of that screw. I paid like $200 just for that.
So I'll give you a funny deal that this office was an afterthought. It was supposed to have been up top, right? So when I framed the whole apartment in and I got ready, I had a staircase along the back wall. And we're getting older and I'm fat. And I told my wife, I'm like, what's the likelihood of us going up and down those stairs? Even though I probably need to do that. It's good exercise, but I was like, So we moved this office downstairs now, and I took up a little more room of the shop, which it left me ended up leaving me 1,600 square foot of shop space after I put this down here. But this little piece of office that I added in after the fact, it cost me just as much in material as it took me for everything in the apartment. And the apartment is a 40 by 40.
Wow.
And that's how much the prices went up when we decided to do this. It was stupidly insane. So it's like, make sure you plan it out right and just do it. Cause I went and bought everything and then COVID hit. And then that's where I had to come and buy all this material once COVID and all the shortages and everything were going on, but it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
As far as
I see Matt smiling over there because when I built this, the 2x4s were $9 a piece.
Yeah.
And Matt's like, "How much were those 2x4s?" I shut up, Matt.
Well, we had started the design for his shop, his cure room or his resin room before COVID hit.
Okay.
And we're planning it all out L shape. We got this and beams and this going on. That never. Prices were good. COVID hit. We waited and hemmed and hawed and thought about it. COVID hit. We went cha-ching. That went 3 times as much.
But it was time to do it. Just like you said, it was time to do it. I had to do it. It was like, just get it done and pay for it later or whatever. Yeah. Just get it done.
Yeah.
So I guess the next topic is, so what was the absolute catalyst? What was the moment where you said, all right, I'm going to do this? Like, was there something that happened, or were you just planned on this for a while, or what was the thing that just made you pull the trigger on everything?
My wife told me that my IT job with the county was turning me into a grumpy old bee.
Yep.
And, if I didn't get another job, she might have to kill me in my sleep.
Wow. At least
it's in your sleep. At least it's in your sleep. That's pretty thoughtful.
Yeah.
That's your wife's in the shop.
But but that actually did happen. But seriously, I was.
But seriously, if you don't see from me, if you don't hear from me, this is what happened.
Yeah, exactly. I was doing a bunch of stuff on the side when I had my IT job, and a lot of times I was making more money on the side, and I wasn't even trying. I wasn't advertising. I didn't have enough space. I was turning down a lot of work because I just didn't have enough room in the shop to build the things that people were asking for. And and I wanted to, we had kids young, and we didn't have a lot of money when we were younger, so we don't have deep retirement pockets like some people do. And so I wanted to build something I could do until they put me in the ground. So I figured, I'm teaching classes. I could do that in a walker, and not a walker, one of those little carts. Ride around with my little cane deck. No, not like that.
You got little tennis balls in the bottom. Yeah.
You could have one of those now just for fun.
Exactly.
I'd
shoot video on it, but it'd be awesome.
I'm the boss now, so whatever. He's a
jerk. Little GoPro.
I can work with him. Yeah.
He's got a little GoPro on the corner of it.
Don't forget the little ringer bell. Ring, ring,
That's right. Ring, 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 boom, ring, ring.
Get out of the way.
Get an electric horn. Oh god. Yeah.
Get a little top thing on the end of it. You know, nothing crazy, just enough to get their attention.
Exactly. So, you know, my understanding through this build right here, you've actually got some job offers that, you know, just pouring in right now. So when you go to the big box store,
You said pouring in.
pouring in.
Oh, good
Yeah,
goodness.
Yeah.
Every time I see every time I walk into Home Depot, at least 5 people are like, dude, why don't you just work here? You're here more than I am. I'm like, listen, I'm doing a little more than my part to keep you employed.
Exactly. So is it the organizational problem, or is it just you're buying things as you go?
I'm just buying things okay, so
Now,
Joey sounds like he had some idea what he might have had some idea what he was doing when he started. Okay. I've built things before. I built sheds. I built, you know, little divider walls. I've built all kinds of things before. I've never built anything. I mean, more than like a 8x10 shed from the ground up. And there's no electrical in there. There's no plumbing. There's none of that. So I don't know what I'm doing. I attended YouTube University.
they made it look easy.
I'm like besties with 2 or 3 people at Home Depot and Lowe's and Ace and all the other hardware stores around here and the plumbing houses and the electrical houses, you know?
Yeah.
And so a lot of times it's just, I don't know. And then the other thing is that it's a metal building, right? So I'm having to marry things together because most of the stuff at Home Depot is aimed at people who are building things that are wood framed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, and then it's a lot of solutions. Like, for instance, a lot of people build these with they call them legs, the studs. They build them 5 feet apart, you know, and sheet goods aren't really intended for a 5-foot span, right? I mean, I didn't do that. Mine are 4 feet apart, but I'm just saying, you know, there's a lot of challenges. So a lot of times I go to Home Depot and I buy this or I buy that, and then I get back here and things don't work out exactly the way they're supposed to because, you know, the folks at Home Depot, you know, they have experience building houses. Like even with metal studs, it's entirely different than this, right? So it's, you know, the whole thing was a learning experience. You know, I overbuilt everything. And I was overly cautious about everything, including electrical and plumbing, because I didn't want to flood. And I certainly didn't want, you know, my building to catch fire or for me to get shocked or anybody to get shocked or anything like that. And everything was a learning experience. So it's like, you know, if it had been wood framed, I'd have probably been more efficient. But it very seldomly had to do with planning. It's just literally like for the last year and a half, every day has been a school day, period. Full stop.
Yeah, it's usually tough. You know, when you build a metal frame building, then now you have to transition to wood.
Right.
And you think, well, I can get the structure up easy and cheaper. But then when you start transitioning on the inside, that's where you start running into blockades and you got to figure out how to transition it. And then it starts costing money. And you're seeing it, you know, and it's not a whole lot, but you got to take that into consideration because now instead of a studded wall building per se, you know, your regular building, now you're running legs, like you said, every 4 foot and there's no purlings now. So now you got to go in and I don't know exactly what you did if you studded between those 4 foot sections to be able to.
I did.
You know, so it goes a lot more, you know, into it. Trying to transition from that. Sometimes you just got to look at it, you know, especially nowadays, what's going to be cost effective, doing what you did or just going and building a conventional building. That way it's already set up and there's less that you have to do. You know, you can use batted insulation or you can still go with spray foam. You know, your studs are going to be on center to where your plywood, your material like that will fit just perfect. And it's less work. You know, less cutting, less trying to fit, less trying to, you know, whatever. But yeah, it's a pretty good experience. And it's cool to be able to talk about this because I know there's people out there that probably want to hear both sides of it, you know? from what everybody's done. You know, Matt did a red iron building. Jake's got a red iron build or a steel building, and I've had both, you know, and this barn here is wood, but it's a pole barn on the inside, and I still got to go through there and build studded walls in between those main posts in order to eventually, hopefully in this lifetime, finish it out there, because I'm procrastinating and I still got insulation and air conditioning just sitting out there in the corner. And, you know, I did that because Matt's going to eventually bring it up during this show that I have not finished my building yet, you know, so I figured I'd nip that in the behind real quick.
But if it makes you feel any better, I'm at like a year, I'm at almost 2 years. I've been working on it.
So you're what, 3 or 4, 5?
Huh?
What's Joey at?
You see, but you know, I got a real good relationship with Home Depot. You know, we can really go in depth with Home Depot. They really love me, but I'll let Jamie go next week.
Yeah, back on track here. Back on track here. We got a question from the chat. Michael McEwen says, question. With all the work building the shop, are you still getting out to shows? I saw you in Atlanta in February. Are you going to be at SWAT?
So, up until funny thing, I've been doing shows with Robert Sorby for a long time. And when I moved here, the guys from Microjig reached out to me, so I'm doing shows for them as well. And I am still doing shows. I am trying, you know, in case they're listening, I am trying to rely less heavily on doing shows, just because, you know, every business is run to its best benefit, and those decisions are made, you know, with and without regard to how it affects, you know, their contractors. So for now, I'm still doing I'll still be doing quite a few shows, and as long as that continues to be viable, I'll do that. But I am trying to really focus on building the business here. So I hope that. I'm not sure. I think I may have gone off track a little bit, but I think that should pretty much cover that question.
Just throw spaghetti at the wall. It works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
So SWAT.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, SWAT. They wanted to know if you were going to attend.
I will absolutely be at SWAT. I'll be there with Robert Sorby.
There you go. All right. So you've been known to spin a bit of wood in your time. So my question to you is, if a company were to come to you and say, we want to make a Dread Knot Edition lathe, what would it look like and what features has it got?
I'm really fond of DVRs, and I'm really fond of large capacity lathes. So if I'd probably twist Joel's arm and get him to make me a 20 plus inch, 2 or 3 horsepower DVR with a heavy cast iron frame. Yeah, pretty much. That's what it would be.
Nice.
Yeah.
There you go. Any particular color? Not that really matters.
Pink.
I think there you go. That's what I'm
talking about.
Or orange, either one. Something bright.
Yeah, there you go. Orange, it'll match your Home Depot uniform.
No, not that one. Not that one. No.
Welcome to Home Depot. How can I help you?
I want people to definitely know it's mine.
Well, you know, staying on the lathe part of it, what's your favorite thing to do or to turn on there? What inspires you the most?
New challenges. That's my thing. I don't, like I said before, I'm not really a turner that turns a thing. I like pushing the envelope. So I'm always, whatever it is that I'm doing, I'm trying to push it as far as I can go. Right to the brink, and sometimes right to the brink of broken, and sometimes broken. Yeah. Yeah. So I like the challenge. I love the fact that I can do exploration in an afternoon on the lathe. Like when I do furniture, it takes weeks, months sometimes to finish something, And you know, you got to invest a whole lot of time into it, and it might not work out. You know, but with the lathe, I just get out there, I go grab me a chunk off of a chunk of tree and have at it for a couple hours, and I can work through those things very quickly. So yeah, I didn't catch that question.
It
It
wasn't
was a question. He said, Mark L says, "Welcome to Home Depot. How may I help you?" Said no one ever. Good one, Mark.
Listen, I spend enough money there, they come and say that to me.
Ooh, it's Mr. Moneybags.
Yeah.
All right, so
Not for me, they scatter like ants.
I'm hoping that's coming to an end real soon, but we'll see.
nah, you probably still got some more. So when it comes to teaching, you got your wood turning and your teaching. Which one do you enjoy more?
What's that? What's the
Teaching
choice?
or wood turning? Teaching
I like
or
them.
wood turning?
I think I like them equally because I really, really, really enjoy sharing with other people. Because you know, like our country used to be a country of makers. Really, I mean, we established the country without anything really, and we had to build everything. And so I feel like we've kind of like gotten away from that, and it really brings me, like, without sounding cliche, it brings me joy to help somebody else understand that they can create something with their own hands. So I really, really enjoy teaching. I mean, I really obviously enjoy turning as well, but I really love teaching. And the other thing about teaching is teaching will make you a better turner, right? Because the thing is, you have to have a deeper understanding of what it is that you actually do in order for you to convey that to somebody else, right? So being a teacher, you know, if you're doing it right, you learn as much from your students as they learn from you.
So I know that, you know, looking at most of your turning, you're a traditional turner.
Okay.
Like as far as traditional tools.
Okay.
Do you agree with that?
No.
No.
I'm a hybrid guy. I'm a hybrid guy. I use whatever, you know, the advice that I always give my students is, I'm like, look, you know, at the end of the day, nobody knows what you use. So use what is enjoyable and safe for you. And I use a number of different types of carbide tools for different things. I don't have any preferences, but primarily, to be fair, traditional tools, because I'm an aggressive cutter, and you just can't with carbide. So,
You know, I'm pushing the buttons right now, right? You know that's what I'm trying to do right now.
it's all good.
Hey, I went to this turning club asked me to come and just give a presentation on resin and wood turnings, how to use a pressure pot and all that kind of stuff. Well, I had a bowl there, and one of the traditional guys, well, you didn't do nothing but scrape it with those carbides, and I said, it's still a bowl, dude.
Yeah.
And he had to shut up. So anyway, there's my story.
Yeah, I don't have biases. I've never tried to mislead anybody into thinking that my way is the best way. You know, I always tell people like this. I go, look, think of all skill acquisition, right? Think of it as an all-you-can-eat buffet, right? So, you know, there's everything you can think of on the buffet. You just take what you can use and leave the rest, you know? And your path to success probably involves a little bit of this guy and a little bit of this mentor and a little bit of that mentor and a little bit of this one. And that's how you find what's most comfortable to you. But I don't ever offer myself up as a definitive to anything. So my way is not, I don't offer my way as the definitive to anything.
Nice.
Fair enough.
Good to know.
Did I run out of questions?
No. Sorry, I was just still thinking about that buffet. All right. So you have basically perfected the CA finish. Would you care to share your process?
Okay. I'll do you better. I'll share some really good tips. How about that?
There we go.
There you go.
All right. So nobody likes to have little bits of gloves and paper towels glued to their fingertips, right? Well,
Nope.
The best gloves to use are the ones, they look like little plastic hand turkeys that they heat seal together. They use them in food service. You know which ones I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are polyethylene gloves, which is the same material that your glue bottles are made out of, and it will not stick. So if you want to be able to use it and not get CA stuck to you, use those gloves, and they're cheap. You can buy 100 of them at Walmart for like $1, or you used to be able to. I don't know what it costs now.
Before COVID. Gotcha.
Yeah. But there's that.
$45 now.
And then the other thing is, while you're using those gloves, just understand the fact that when CA kicks off, the exothermic reaction can get very hot, and it could actually melt the glove. So don't fart around when you're using it. Do your business and put the application down.
Yeah.
The number 2 is the only coat of CA that matters if you want that dipped glass look is the last layer. Nothing else matters. So don't sand in between. Don't use activator in between. The way I do it is 2 coats, activator, a 3rd coat, turn the lathe off. I do a little inspection thing, because if you got if you have adhesion problems, they'll show up at that point. If you do, then you sand it back. So it almost looks like there's nothing on there. But because I use thin CA, it's in the material. So once I get it sanded back, it's kind of like a sealer at that point, and every successive coat will adhere CA to CA. Okay. And then you put the rest of your coats on one after the other. Don't stop. Don't do anything. Right. And when you get to the end, you got to get the surface flat first. And once you got it flat because you go back and sand it. And when you rotate it with the light on it, you stop getting those little light points. Those are low spots. The shiny spots are little low spots. When you get rid of those and buff it, it will be perfect. But the only one that matters is the last one. So anybody that tells you got to sand between coats, nope. Using activator between coats, nope. The only thing you got to do is, like I said, that step after the 2nd coat, you really don't have to, but it's just conducive, because the last thing you want to do is if you're having adhesion problems early on, it's a lot easier to sand that away and keep moving than it is to because I always put 12 coats. Sand it off the 12 coats, right? So it's a lot easier early on. Plus, if it's not going on properly, it's not going on properly anyway. So it's just making a mess. So those are let's see, I think that's, and don't bother with micro mesh, right? When you get ready to get it flat, I use wet dry sandpaper, and it doesn't matter which, 320, 800, 1500, it doesn't matter. You just got to get it flat, and then take it to a buffing wheel and I use the Beal system. I use the Triple E, the white diamond. That's it. Don't use the wax, because the wax it'll knock the shine back a little bit. I mean, if that's what you want, fine. But the wax will never be as shiny as the CA. So you don't need it, because the CA is a finish. So you just want to use the Triple E and the white diamond to buff it up, and perfect.
Nice.
There you go. Thank you.
No problem.
So if you can, for the listeners out there, Darryl, back to the schooling that you're going to offer, can you tell them what you're going to offer? Do you have any kind of insight of what you may be offering for potential customers?
So in the short term, it's going to be some basic wood turning stuff, turn a small bowl, turn a pen, things like that. But long-term goals, once things get kind of established, I'm actually investing in some bigger machines, some Powermatics, and we're going to do multi-day classes, because where I live, it's nice right here because it kind of feels rural. It feels like you're out in the country, but within 5-10 miles of here, there's like 30 hotels and hundreds of restaurants and all that kind of stuff. So it's a great area for people to come, to be able to come into and do a multi-day class. But at that point, we're going to do some heavier stuff like hollowing and texturing and embellishing and things like that. Some power carving, things like that. And then outside of the wood turning, we're going to be having classes like date night classes, like for, husband and wife, or, ladies going out for ladies night. And I've invested in, I have laser engravers and cutters. I have several vinyl cutters, like the Crickets and the Silhouettes and the this and that, and 3D printing and things like that. So I've invested in quite a few different types of tools so that I can diversify and offer a more diversified selection of classes for not just wood turners, but it's my intent to get the whole family involved, get kids out here doing making stuff, moms, dads, grandma, grandpa. There's an older lady that lived at the end of my driveway, and she asked me every day when that classroom's gonna be ready. So I got to get on the ball.
That's cool though. That's pretty neat, man. I wish you all the best on that. That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
So you're the difference between teaching in person and teaching like online classes. Do you think it's easier for you when you have someone right in front of you that can ask questions right away? Because like when I'm doing videos and voiceover and stuff, it's kind of hard to say what somebody might have a question on.
Right.
So like I would assume if they're right there in front of you, they could ask you questions and it'd be easier for you.
I think so. As far as like teaching it, I guess it would probably be easier in person, especially if you got more than one person. Because like when I teach in person, I custom tailor my class to however. If I got 4 people, I'm teaching 4 classes because I work with the person at their pace, and I can hear what's going on. I know half of the time I know what's wrong before I even look that way. I hear it. I know what's going on. I walk over there. I can help them. But for the students, right, the difference is this. There's something to be said about the sights and the sounds and actually being able to feel some of the things, because there's a lot happening when you're wood turning and interpreting things like vibration in the tool and the way things sound and things like that. It's all very valuable information. It's very, very hard to convey in a virtual class. It's much easier to learn those things in person. But if all you can do is virtual due to travel restrictions or cost or whatever, by all means, those work out good too. It's just preferable to do in person, I think.
So my curiosity, you kind of went, and to me, I don't know, your the flooring that you did for your shop.
Okay.
That carpet.
Okay.
Is that just a deal you found, or was that, because that couldn't have been planned? That could not have been planned.
No.
And where are you finding these deals?
Marketplace. I'm like a marketplace fiend.
Awesome.com.
No, man, Facebook Marketplace. I'm telling you, dude, I'm like a fiend. I'm on there all the time.
Okay.
And those carpet squares, I went online and I found those things, and the guy was like, so many for X amount of money, right? And
right.
If you bought a bigger quantity, then he knocked the price back a little bit. So I walk in there and I was like, hey, I got $100. How much can I get for $100? So he walks me to where these carpet tiles are. He's got 6 pallets taller than me, right, with carpet tiles. And he goes, for $100, you can have it all. I was like,
There's no place to put that.
I was like, I don't need them all. I don't want them all. He goes, nah, don't worry about it, man, because you could buy them all and then you could sell the rest. I was like, I don't want your problem to be my problem.
Yeah.
He thought he had one.
What did you need? So I took 2 pallets. And when I first called him, the thing he warned me of, he goes, well, look, they're not, he goes, you're not going to get a huge space where they all match. Right. And I was like, that doesn't bother me. And when I started going through the pile, it had some really cool stuff, like really graphic stuff. And these are my creative spaces. So, I thought about it and I was like, oh, this is great. I'm I'm gonna throw these down as I get to them. I'm not even gonna sort them, and that's what I did. And it's everything. It ended up being everything I thought it would be. Although those first 2 rows, I was really questioning. My wife's like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "This is absolutely nuts. What in the heck are you doing?" And I was like, "I don't know. This is my vision. We're gonna stick with it. We're gonna see it through." And I got about 2/3 of the way through, and she's like, "Okay, all right, I'm starting to see it now." I was like, "Yeah, me too. It's awesome." And then I found there's these 2 red carpet tiles that were awesome, and I scoured the whole pile of the 2 pallets, and I only had the 2, but I mean they were awesome. I got like that. Anyway, it was a hoot.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that on Instagram. I think it was Instagram.
Yeah.
I saw that post and I went, "That is the craziest flooring I've ever seen." But it looks so cool because you couldn't tell there was something on the floor. Literally,
No.
you can get wood shavings on the floor. They're not there.
And we had our kids. We had 2 kids graduate this year. Our youngest graduated high school, and the one a year older than him, he graduated college. And when we talked about moving, we wanted to have a space where the family could get together, for parties. Like, if we ever have grandkids, the grandkids can have birthday parties, whatever. So we had their graduation party out here, and we had like 4 or 5 8-foot tables for people to sit at, and there was like 40 people here. And I got to tell you, dude, my wife took pictures of it. It looked great. I mean, the chaotic nature of the squares, it really subsides once you set things up. Like, because you think about the floor anywhere really. Once you start putting things in, you're only seeing parts of it anyway.
Right.
So it's not like you're taking all this in at one time. And once I get the classroom set up, it won't be a big deal. But the thing is, though, it's so much easier on your legs and your back and your feet because it's got a real dense foam, about I'd say about 1/8 of an inch of really dense foam under each carpet square.
Yeah.
And it went down really easy because they're 40 inches square. So, I think it took like 6 of them to go across that room. Wow. So it was awesome. And you don't have to do anything to them. They're not glued down, nothing. And the only time I had problems, I did it from wall to wall so that it didn't have anywhere to go. It couldn't slide. But the one where the door frames are, I need to put in a little transition piece to keep it from moving around. But if I have a pallet jack that I use to move everything, mm-hmm. and if it's real heavy, from time to time there's a few problems. But other than that, it works great. Up to about 500-600 pounds, I can put the pallet jack on. It works great. It's awesome.
Nice. Yeah. How many chucks do you think you have now, and what one is your favorite?
Let's see. I don't think I quite hit 30. I'm pretty close. And my favorite one, right, is not that Record Power is my favorite company. I don't have anything against them, but they made this little tiny thing, the SC2.
The SC2.
It's the cutest damn thing. When it came in, I went to my wife, I opened the box, I was like, "Hey, you know what? You're always talking about cute stuff. This is what a wood turner thinks is cute." And I popped the box open and I was like, "It's cute." So anyway, that's my favorite.
There you go.
That one. Yeah. Wow. And I like doing small things, so I was super excited about it.
I think we got time for a speed round, Jake. You want me to start it off?
We got time for you to ask a question, and that's it.
And that's
just 2 minutes till. It's 1 minute till.
So
there you go.
I guess what's the next big piece of equipment you're bringing in?
I would really like a helical head planer and jointer.
That's what I'm talking about.
Me too.
But I'm going to say this, right? Because I'm pretty sure about this statement, but I'm not 100%. But I pretty much have all the things that I want in the shop. And those are the only 2 things I want to upgrade. And now that's not to say that tomorrow somebody's not going to come out with some crazy thing that I'm going to want. But as of right now, I've hit the saturation point. I'm pretty happy with I'm pretty happy with where I'm at.
Said no woodworker ever,
Ever.
Darryl. Ever. Ever.
Hey,
Uh-huh.
you
Well,
just in
Darryl,
time out for a minute. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. I get put there quite a bit, though, sometimes.
Mhm.
Well, Darryl, appreciate you hanging out with us today. This flew by. Now's the time if you got anything coming up or, we've got all your links listed below. Let the listeners know how to get a hold of you and where to look to see when your school gets opened up.
Okay. So you can find me on all social media as Dread Knot Woodshop, except for Twitter. You'll find me at Not Dread. And I'm starting a woodworking club here in the upstate of South Carolina. So if you're in the upstate, we're going to have our first meeting this coming Tuesday, the 18th at 6:30 at my place. I'll be putting up information shortly on my social medias on Instagram, particularly Instagram and Facebook. I may have squeeze in a little YouTube action, but I'm going to be getting back into making content very soon. So, check me out on YouTube and the other socials at Dread Knot Woodshop. Dread Knot make something.
Awesome.
There you go.
Awesome.
There you go.
Matthew.
I can't say that anything's changed since the job, so still working on the CNC. It is up and running now. It is moving, but it is got to get the programming down. So that's where I'm at with that. So
There you go. Jamie Pie.
I've just been out here making videos, doing editing, and I've got cartoons on Saturday.
And I'll translate. We have cartoons on Saturday. We're going to be making cool stuff, giving stuff away. And I am in the middle of editing a resin room tour. I call it a YouTube studio tour. It's going to be a long one, but there's a lot of information in there. And people that follow along will probably like to see what we did with this place lately. So that's going to be out maybe tomorrow. Joey?
For myself, I haven't had a whole lot of shop time. Been busy doing other things. Still doing that, but hopefully we can get back in the shop here pretty soon and start cleaning up from the disaster I left it in from doing the expansion. I'd like to thank our Patreon members, the Wooden Mustache, Matthew, and Mama T. I got your shirt. I forgot to send it yesterday, but it's going to be on the way. If you're interested in checking out our
Patreon.
Patreon, go to
There we go.
patreon.com/Creative Makers Podcast. Next week, same time, same place. Darryl, thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you. We'll see you next week, 7:30 Central Standard Time, always on Wednesday. And thanks, everyone, for hanging out with us tonight. And we will see y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.